This is Pivot Perspectives with Chris O'Byrne, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on their road to success, and get exclusive access on how to implement their success into your life and business. Pivot Perspectives is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Chris O'Byrne.
Coach Stone, welcome to the show. I am super excited to talk to you. Been looking at your website and everything that you do, and there's a lot to talk about. But your day job is as an elementary school teacher. What made you decide to get into teaching?
Well, one, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. At a young age, I wanted to be a professional athlete like all kids, right? And then in high school, I decided that if I couldn't make professional football or the pros, I wanted to touch kids' lives by teaching them things that I did and teachers taught me, because I think teaching is like an old school MasterCard commercial, right? If you remember that one when I was little, where they went to Yankee Stadium, it's like this, the hot dog's like this, the hot dog's nowhere near that much anymore. And then like spending it with your family, priceless. That's why I teach. It's those moments that you get with the kids, that like seeing them. So like we're doing volleyball right now, seeing them serve the volleyball over for the first time, it's priceless. You know what I mean? And then all the kids cheer for the other kid and things like that. So, that's why I became a teacher.
How long have you been teaching for?
I don't say it like that. I say it the opposite way. So I got 13 and a half more years left.
I understand.
That's how I say it. And people are like, well, that's so far away, or why do you do it that way? Well, one, I like a countdown. You met me before, and I'm always got my I love these Apple watches. I used to have a regular watch. I have it hung up right there, in fact, in front of me, where all my things are for my medals. And I time everything. So it's just like a countdown. And it's not a good countdown. It's like a celebration countdown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what has your teaching career been like? And do you have any interesting stories to share of that?
With over the 20 years I've been teaching, right? There are so many stories from, when I first started teaching, seeing the kids play sports. I started at an elementary school, and then I went to a middle school. And then since '09, I've been at the school I'm at now. And just seeing the kids like at the weight rooms and everything's like, I work out at weight rooms out of town, like in the town. Seeing them is great. But some of the stories of, hey, coach, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have tried out for high school volleyball or middle school volleyball or basketball, or, some of them do businesses now where they sell dogs, and they sell dogs because we used to always talk about, when we were in science class at RISA, we'd always talk about like his dogs and stuff. And now this guy sells dogs for a living, and he sells them for a crazy price. Hopefully thought I'd get a dog, but like when he told me the price tag, I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. I can't buy a dog for that much money. It's almost as much as my car. You know what I mean? So
Oh my
he's like,
goodness.
yeah, it's really expensive. And, just seeing kids older. And then like right now, at the school I'm currently at, I teach 4 kids that I taught their parents in middle school. So that's how, just
I love that.
if you ask any teacher, the stories are endless. I mean, you can't grab one, because then if you grab one and someone hears this, they're gonna be like, why didn't you tell my story? But those are the gist of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how long have you been a coach for then?
I've been coaching, I would say, over about 25 years. I just recently had a birthday, but the thing is with coaching, Dennis Wurzaw, one of my high school coaches, and he started me at a young age playing when I was a sophomore in high school, about learning the game, not just as a player, but coaching it too. As a quarterback, you have to be a leader on and off the field, and sometimes you got to coach the players up. So when someone asks me that question, I always like take the date with Dennis Wurzaw. That's why I say 25 years. I mean, it's a little bit further than that, but I was a sophomore like 30 years ago, but I say 25 because in college I was doing camps where you coach kids and things like that. But I've been coaching for over 25 years.
So along the way, what has happened along the way? Whether it's a story or an event or something that just stands out in your mind, that kind of demonstrates how valuable that sports experience is for kids.
I think one that comes to mind is it was probably my first year. No, I'm sorry, my second stint coaching high school football. And I was at a local high school here, and I'm recruiting kids because I was leaving early because elementary, right? And high school gets out later. And I met a player that I already knew, and I met this player and this new player I'm trying to get, and I recruited him to play football. He went into football. He became a Division III athlete. I believe he was All-American, all academics. Then he moved to Tennessee, became a PE teacher and a coach. He bought he's bought numerous of my books. He works for my company also. Recently became a DC coordinator at a Division III college. And then he saw an opening for a high school job at his alma mater where I recruited him at. And now he's the head football coach at that alma mater. So
Oh man,
that is probably one of the most success stories. And if he's listening to this, he knows who he is because he wanted to play quarterback. And I told him no, and he was a big, tall guy, played baseball and stuff. Great athlete. He's still a good athlete. He trains my son. He does a great job. He's co-authored a book with me, my strength and conditioning book. But Cody, he's going to be great, and he's going to do great things at the high school this year. I can't wait to see it happen.
So I mean, obviously the sports experience is valuable for kids, but why is that experience so valuable and useful?
I think for kids, you have to have that camaraderie. Like if you're a child of one, like with my family, I had a brother, an older brother, and I was very fortunate to play sports with him, even though I was 6 years older. And then I eventually got like taller. You know what I mean? That's why I was able to play with him at a young age when I was 6 years younger than him, because I can get by saying I'm older, even though I wasn't. I think the camaraderie, the new friendships you make, the brotherhood or the sisterhood you make, because I've coached women's football too. It's that family. I say it all the time, hashtag football family, but it's an extension of your family. And I will always reach out, or they will reach out, ask me questions. But it's that camaraderie you have, not like a fraternity or nothing. It's just like that, like I want to say brother or sisterhood you have, and it just never dwindles, if that makes sense. It's just
Absolutely.
it's a priceless moment. I mean, I hate to say it over and over again, but it's priceless by just building that relationship up. When I go do a camp somewhere or when I coach somewhere, I always have people still always reaching out years and years later.
So clearly it has a big impact on them. So you own your own business as well, Coach Stone Football. Why did you
Correct.
start that business?
Well, in 2017 in the winter, my wife and I were just talking. She actually invented the name. I love it to death, but I saw that, you know, being parents thrown into volunteer coaching as a youth coach, and my business created customized camps, and it just pretty much what I do is I parachute in, like I say, I do a camp and then I parachute right out, and I help
Mhm.
lay a foundation that wasn't there. Because of any business, you cannot build a solid foundation on sand. You got to have that concrete, because you can build it on sand, but then eventually just keeps sinking and sinking and sinking. So what pretty much happened is I had coaches call me, contact me, and my wife's like, "Hey, maybe you should do this," and I just did it. And I actually wearing the first shirt I ever had. It's my first original shirt. I don't know why I did it. Not on purpose. I just want you to know. But I because it's all beat up. That's why I would never wear this on a podcast. I apologize. But Like it was just something, laying a foundation and making it so people can be building confidence through drills, not just the old days where we saw kids get an answer wrong in football, run a mile, come back, the coach would bring them back up again, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, do it again, and you mess up and you're running again. Nowadays we can't even do that because kids are not marathon runners; they're athletes, right? That's what I always say. Um, but it's just laying a foundation and getting that to grow, build kids' confidence up, and doing it through sports or anything they want to do is that's why I do it with my company.
So how did you get into teaching football camps?
Well, I started traveling with the company, and then like I started creating camps for them, and then it just, like I said, the word got out, and then I just, for some reason, I went on my own, and it got very successful. I before COVID hit, I would probably do 10 camps a year. Now that COVID's almost over, or like it's over, I've already booked 3 camps. I've already done 4 camps, I should say. I have 4 camps booked so far. I have more coming up. I had to cancel 2 of them because I had a dance recital with my daughter. So my three of my 5 daughters, 3 of my 5 kids, I'm sorry, 3 of my 5 kids have a dance recital, and I wasn't able to do it. So it's coming up, and I had to cancel doing the camp because I want to see my kids do stuff. Because I noticed with my oldest, she was there when I won my first championship for football, and I didn't see her grow up to what she has become now. And since then, I've made a point now where I'm like, I want to see everything. I go to my oldest daughter's track meets, or flag football games, my son's football games, my third child's basketball games. And if I'm on the bench, I'm on the bench. If I'm not, I'm a fan, right? I'm that fan that says, hey, box out, things like that. And then I go see my daughter, my fourth daughter, Chloe. I go see her Susical that just was this weekend. It was awesome. I could have done a camp, but I decided to go see Susical, and it was super cute. It was a little half-hour play, and I appreciate it a ton. And I appreciate all the people that contact me for camps, and they're like, "Can you book this date?" I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I have a dance recital, or I have this, or I have that." So, and then my youngest daughter, she's just getting the acting. She's doing everything. She tells me when she comes home from school, because my 3 young ones go to my school. She's gonna tell me I get a consequence if I don't go to things. So, I mean, I don't know. It's awesome. So,
Yeah, well worth it.
yes.
So, Dr. Jen Walter. Have you worked with her or alongside of her, and what is she like?
Well, Jen, I work for Jen's company still. Right now, she's on hiatus with the XFL with Coach Woodson and the Vipers. I actually got to go see their first home game. I was really appreciative of that. And a little funny thing about that, my daughter had a basketball game, and she's like, "Dad, just go to Jen because you missed the other game for me, so you can go to that, right?" So my daughter gave me permission, my third daughter, and she's amazing. I don't know, like her camps with Gridiron Girl camps that I get to do with her are amazing. Camp on the Corner that she created, all the things Jen does is amazing, and she's become like a family member in our house. And the kids stayed with her, Catfish Mafia, the little thing we do, because we took her to like the garden when she came to Rockford one time because she was doing an event for the Chicago Bears, I believe. And she's just an amazing person, and the things she has done for women's sports, I mean, it should be an ESPN special. You know what I mean? She was the first women's football player. I mean, if you go back 5 or 6 years when she started Gridiron Girls, there were hardly 0 flag camps, 0. And it's not to be rude to anybody, there weren't any hardly. And then she started them, and then now they're everywhere. And I was very fortunate to do Australia with her when we went over to Australia, where she was the head coach. I was her defensive coordinator, assistant head football coach. I was very fortunate to do a camp with her with the New York Giants and New York Jets, where they started a football camp for girls flag in the New Jersey area. I was very fortunate to do a lot of camps, one with the Rams. There are some camps I had to miss. She does a mom's clinic for the NFL with the Washington Redskins with Santana Moss. We did like a long time ago. I highly recommend any NFL teams, if you hear this, I definitely reach out to her because they're phenomenal. They're state of the art, and I, the people will leave stuff learning stuff. And just like I've told other people that have asked about her football IQ is like through the roof, right? She knows her stuff. She knows what to go. She's a great implementing on tackling. I love how she does the tackling, like when she did the thing with Harry Connick Jr., where he's on her show and he taught him how to tackle and things like that. But I can't say great things about her. I just wish, if she ever does want to go back to the NFL, that she gets that opportunity, because right now she's the linebackers coach at the Vipers, and I think she's up in the box. The one thing I love to do when I coach football, I know she likes to be on the field if I know her, because I've known her for so while. I coached her, and then when I've coached her, I met her, and then we just like came together after an All-Star game, because I was a head coach of an All-Star game after we got done winning a gold medal in 2010. So I've known her since 2010, and she's been striving along. And I remember the time she told me she was going to do the Arizona Cardinals, and I remember when she told me, and then I remember being in a place, just got done with a football camp, and she's like, turn on ESPN, and there she was, and it was amazing. So, but yeah, she's great.
Wow, that's great. So you've written a lot of books. You've published a lot of books. How long does it take you to write a book, and what's that experience been like, the writing versus doing?
Well, I know my wife's happy because our walk-in closet is empty almost, right? Because that's where I put all my football stuff when I was college coaching and stuff. And I wrote so many notes because I was a note taker. I was a sponge. And with the books I've written, I wrote a PE book first. I wrote the Big Four book, and it was about sports that I loved when I was little. And it's funny, it wasn't even football. I remember in elementary school, at hometown elementary school, Mr. Smith, my PE teacher, I always wanted to be him, and then eventually I became him, right? But we did basketball, we did floor hockey, we did volleyball, and we did soccer. And that's what my Big Four book was. And it was really small. It was about like, I want to say 5.5 by 8. It's like 100 and something pages. It was color. My principal I have now, she made fun of it because it's like super tiny. So then that was awesome because I've had that for my whole teaching career. And I was building it when I was in college and things like that. That book took so long to make, just because I didn't even realize I was going to write it. I did a podcast and then I wrote a book. I remember doing it a long time ago. And then after that, I wrote my football books, and that's my walk-in closet. It's empty now because, well, it's almost empty, I should say, because I literally took all my notes and all the things I used to learn football, and I put it together with shapes, different acronyms, and things like that people have never seen before. And I just built it out. And my first football book, I had to stop writing it because it was so big. It's literally 5.5. It's like 5 pounds heavy. It's 583 pages. So I had to create volumes 1 through 4. I have the green book, and then I have offense, defense, special teams, tackling, turnovers. I've written 4 books. All those 5 books were one book. So I wanted to make a gigantic book, but at the time, not Kindle, not KDP, but the other place, Creative Space, they were still around at the time before Amazon bought them. They said you could only go 600 pages. So with my football book, after I outlined it and everything and had all the drawings and everything, I just worked on it. And it's funny, it took my Big Four book that's this big, it took me years and years to write it. And then my green book that's about this thick, 502 pages, that took about 2 months to write, just because I had everything outlined and things. And if you're ever thinking about writing a book, I would say write ideas down. Don't write when you think you want to write. Just write when you want to, because if you try to force through it, you won't get anything accomplished. And currently I have 3 books in the works. They're already completed. I'm just waiting on covers and waiting on proofreading, because I'm dyslexic. So I see stuff backwards and I write stuff backwards. So it takes even longer, because when people like proofread my work, they're like, hey, what are you trying to say here? And then I say it like how I say it, but it's not on the paper, if that makes sense. You know,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
but yeah, I enjoy writing, and you know, the ones I got coming out, and I'm currently working on 2 right now. The other one will be done once the other 3 are done, and then the other one I'm doing right now is a co-author book, and it's gonna be really good because I made all my football books cheap and affordable for coaches because there's not a platform. Well, I should say there wasn't a platform before. Now everyone's doing this stuff. You know, they're since COVID, they're doing drills, they're doing these manuals, they're doing these manuals. You know, but like when I first started, and I still to this day, and don't hold me to this, so don't let me get in trouble on this podcast. But still to this day, my first flag book, is the biggest flag book ever made. You know, my green book for drills, that series is the biggest series ever made for tackle football. And currently I have my green book, my volumes 1 through 5 done. You know, coaching edition is number 5. And then my number 6 book that's already done, it's coaching secrets. So it's going to give all my secrets out how I coach the players I do now, even though I've already given all those things away. It's like everything with the cherry on top, you know? So because I know I'm not going to remember a lot of this stuff when the older we get. So putting it on paper and helping like everyone be successful in football and building the kids' confidence up, I think is the greatest thing in the world. So that's why I write. Lay a foundation and to build kids' confidence up.
How many books have you published now?
I am currently, I believe, at 1 PE book and 24 back to the basics books.
Oh, wow.
With quote books, mom's books, DIY books, you know, all that stuff. It's amazing how many people bring out DIY books now. You know, I did a DIY book on drills. Now everyone's doing them, and they're doing academies and this stuff and that stuff. You know, and it's great because then you see it, you see the stuff happening, and you know, I do a free magazine for coaches. So every 5 times a year, I do a free magazine. I've done that ever since COVID started because I wanted to give back to the coaching community. And I do that because it's free and coaches can see that stuff. And I get other coaches around the world. I do an international magazine even too, where the coaches tell us what they're doing in their country. And then it's something for your coaching toolbox, you know, but I've done about 24, 25 coaching books from my Back to the Basics logo. Well, more coming out, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to tell people that I've published 12,000 books, which I have, but then I tell them I own a publishing company. And so,
well, that's pretty good.
It takes the steam out.
Well, I know, but that's still way better than me. You know, I mean,
yeah, but you actually wrote the books.
Yes. I had a publishing company, the first book, and then I decided to do the rest on my own just because it was so hard and stuff like that. And, you know, I appreciate that company so much for getting me started and things like that. And then I just saw it. I saw an opportunity, and I think everyone's sometimes doing it. But you, as a publishing company, I mean, I would definitely go back again if I could do it again, and I could do all my books in publishing because I've won numerous awards with a couple of my books, and I didn't know that until after the fact. You know, best ebook of the year, best book of the year, and things like that. So I've written 2 books.
Yeah,
I mean, not 2 books have been honored.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You've written a lot more than 2.
Yeah.
So recently, and this is where I met you in person, you coached at the one of the Steinberg football camps. What is your involvement going to be in the upcoming Steinberg Sports Academy?
I would say I'll be supporting the Lee Steinberg Academy through the various of if their sports camps are helping to enrich the lives of the kids in the Arizona community. Because that's, I mean, like when Julie brought me Dr. Julie brought me aboard, she's seen me do camps other places, and I just made a customized camp, and I would love to keep doing that for them. I thought it was great. I wish I could have met Lee, but I know he couldn't do it because of his schedule. I know we met, and I met a lot of other people, but I thought it was phenomenal, you know. And I think what he's trying to do with the academy over there in Arizona, I think it'd be great for the community, great for the state, and great for athletes or student athletes, I should say, to go to that academy.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about what's going to be happening there. It's they got some big plans
Yes.
And a lot of support. So I'm definitely excited about that. So how can people find out more about you and what you do, including your books?
You can go to my website, coachstonefootball.com. And on my website, it'll show, you can go to my shop, or you can go scroll down and you see some of my sponsors that do help me with my camps. And going from there, I mean, just if you go on my website, you see some videos and testimonials from people. And then you could follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Everything's pretty much you just Google Coach Stone, and my website will get you everything. If you want to go on there, I do have a college class coming out soon. It's going to be in August. It's going to be for a 1-credit class, and it's coachstonefootball.com. And then if they want a camp or books or anything, all my books are on Amazon. Just go back to the basics football drill manuals, and you'll see my stuff come up.
Perfect. And I saw your magazine was on there too. So
correct. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and just telling us all about, man, like I said, you've done a lot. You are a busy man, including teaching full time. So
yep.
I don't know how you do it.
I have a great support staff with my wife and kids. So they do a great job, and the people that employ me trust me with their camps and things, and I appreciate all of them from the bottom of my heart for letting me do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks for listening to Pivot Perspectives with your host, Chris O'Byrne. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advice on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.